I was listening to a talk recently by Alan Watts on the principle of wu-wei, and it got me thinking about wu-wei, which can be roughly translated to not forcing, and its role in our lives. Wu-wei is a Chinese philosophical concept that can be roughly translated as wu, which means not, and wei, which means force. So no force or do not force. The idea is to go with the flow in life and not push too hard, as this causes resistance. But we can go deeper than this. The Tao. The Tao is the natural order of things, the way everything should be in the world. The Tao represents the path, the ethical way of being in the world. Wu Wei and the Tao. Wu Wei takes place when a person's actions align with the Tao, the right path in life, or the right way of doing things. Let's say, for example, two people climb a mountain. Of these two people, one is only climbing the mountain because he feels he has to do it, while the second person loves climbing mountains. How different will their experience be? The first person is striving, forcing themselves to do something, whereas the second person is simply enjoying themselves. The principle of not doing or not forcing isn't about avoiding action, but rather it's about going with the flow rather than fighting against it. I remember hearing about the story of a man who fell off a cliff during the nighttime. Somehow he managed not to fall to his death, and instead he held on for dear life. All night he struggled, forcing himself to keep on clutching onto a tree branch which jutted out from the cliff. As dawn light arose, he started to be able to see his surroundings and get his bearings, and he was deeply shocked to see that just 6 inches under his feet was solid ground. He had slipped and fallen, but it was his imagination that suggested a great fall would await him if he let go, when in fact, if he let go, he would only have fallen for 6 inches. Life is like this. Sure, bad things can happen to us, but more often than not, we are like this man who is dangling 6 inches above the ground. But we are terrified and holding on for dear life because we feel that we are falling from a great height. I remember back in 2008 during the great economic crash, several well-known millionaires took their own life that year because of financial ruin. A small repeat of the suicides which took place in the 1929 stock market crash. The strange thing is that these people killed themselves not because they were broke, but rather because they were virtually broke. Relativistically speaking, many of them were broke compared to their previous level of wealth. In reality, they were still healthy and fit, and probably had some assets hidden away here and there. They could simply have brushed themselves off and begun again. Why is it that one business person falls and gives up, whereas another falls, dusts themselves off, and begins again? All of this is about perceived value and a sense of loss based upon an egotistical evaluation. When we strive, we go against the Tao, and life becomes more difficult for us. But what happens when we go with the Tao? Take the example of ex-Marine George Hood, who on the 15th of February 2022, he broke the world record for holding the plank position for 8 hours, 15 minutes, and 15 seconds. George Hood was 62 years of age at the time, and yet look what he achieved. How could he, or anyone else for that matter, hold a position which would tax most people severely after 30 seconds or so? It's all about mind over matter. If George Hood has started thinking to himself, oh my God, this is so tough, how am I going to hang on for several hours? He would not have completed it. Rather, he simply did not think about it. He took a small self out of the equation, and simply he was the plank. He was a man in the plank position, with no judgment, no reflection, feeling sorry for himself. The human body is capable of amazing feats of endurance when we let go and go with the flow. If we have some difficult task to perform, don't think about it, Rather, just flow with it, take your little ego out of the equation, and get on with it. Say, for example, you are in sales and you have to cold call someone. Simply do it and do not worry about the consequences. The sale will either happen or not. Let the Tao flow and do not force. Do enough of the right things enough of the time, and things will find their own way of working out. Desireless action. Both Buddhism and Hinduism focus on acting without desire. Why is this the case? It's not that one should not act in the world, but rather it's the attachment to action that causes problems. The Hindus refer to the world as the karma loka, or place of karma. We are forced to act in this realm. You might meditate, for example, and be in a state of bliss. But after a while, your knees will get stiff and you need to get up and walk around. And even if you ignore this, how long can you last before you have to relieve your bladder, eat food, drink water, and so on? On this earth, we are forced to act, but we are not forced to be attached to our actions. In the famous Hindu text, the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna advises his disciple Arjuna to act but not be attached to his actions, to do his duty and do not worry about the outcome. Arjuna was about to take part in a war between his family and his cousins, the Kauravas, and he was racked with guilt because he was forced to go to war with his relatives. Lord Krishna counseled him by saying that he must do his duty and not worry about the outcome. If he died, he was meant to die, and if they died, they were meant to die. He should feel no guilt, so long as he was doing his duty, and his duty was to defend his family and his people from the injustice of the Kauravas. Simply put, we should do our bit and not worry about the consequences. It is worrying about the consequences which holds us back. Have I done the right thing? Could I have done better? Will I lose or will I win? All of this is going against the Tao, and this striving, this attachment creates resistance, and this resistance creates a sort of friction that holds back the free flow of life itself. Just take the example of really great actors. On one level, they have to give it their all, and yet on another level, they shouldn't give a shit about their performance. They must lose themselves, even in their performance, and not think too much about it. If they really want to do a great performance, they must become one with the performance, and in this case, they are doing wu-wei, and they are one with the Tao. A street vendor who does not fret about how long they are standing there on the roadside, but rather they simply do their work and then go home. They are one with the Tao, they are practicing wu-wei. The mom who looks after the baby whenever her baby needs her and does not worry about the sacrifice she has taken, she is also one with the Tao and is practicing wu-wei. The business person who works 20 hours a day in a startup, but who does not fret about it or worry about whether or not it will be successful, they also are one with the Tao and are also practicing wu-wei. In verse 38 of the Tao Te Ching, it says the following: the highest virtue is to act without a sense of self. The highest kindness is to give without a condition. The highest justice is to see without a preference. When Tao is lost, one must learn the rules of virtue. When virtue is lost, the rules of kindness. When kindness is lost, the rules of justice. When justice is lost, the rules of conduct. We should be in the world, but not of it. Let's take a look at chapter 37 of the Tao Te Ching. The Tao never does, yet through it everything is done. If princes and dukes can keep the Tao, then the world will of its own accord be reformed. When reformed and rising to action, let it be restrained by the nameless pristine simplicity. The nameless pristine simplicity is stripped of desire. By stripping of desire, quiescence is achieved, and the world arrives at peace of its own accord. We don't have to fix everything. Rather, the divine plan is waiting to be rolled out, but we should not resist it. Rather, we should flow with it and let it flow through us. This is wu-wei at work. Taoism does not put forth a greater God in the sense of Abrahamic religions, but rather it advocates divinity and the idea of a personal destiny and indeed a universal destiny. That there is a certain order of things, and that once we live in congruence with this, we will fulfill both our personal destiny and society itself shall fulfill its group destiny of a peaceful and happy world. What we can take out of Taoism and the concept of wu-wei is that everything is a flow, a preordained order, and we have to stand out of the way of this constructive divine force. We don't have to struggle in life. Rather, if we are receptive, we'll pick up intuitively new possibilities in our life and work towards self-fulfillment in a peaceful and natural way. Finally, Wu Wei adds a philosophical viewpoint to life whereby it's okay to fail. In modern parlance, we are addicted to the idea of achievement, grit, climbing tooth and nail to the top of the heap. Our present thinking is strongly biased towards rationality and willpower. It's not that these are bad things, but they do have their failings. Wu Wei teaches us, if we are open and receptive to the idea, is that everything has its own place, time, and rhythm, and that we should just do our best and not worry too much about the outcomes, as everything is following its own destiny. We too can live a less stressful, more productive life if we bear in mind the natural rhythm of life, the need for us to act but not to be attached to the outcome, the natural order of things, that everything has a beginning and an end, and that each phase of our life has its own ebb and flow, and that everything is as it's meant to be. When we do this, we are following Wu Wei. Try it and see how it can work at making your life more productive and happy. I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe if you do, and I'll talk to you next time.